All rise.
Good afternoon, please be seated.
Can one of my clients just plug in his computer with surge protector so that he gets power when he doesn't plug?
Not a problem. I'm just not sure where we're gonna run the board. I haven't mastered the location of all the outlets in the corner.
There's very few that work, Your Honor, so it's,
There's none over. Hopefully, it's one of the situations that will be remedied when the new building is up and running. Yes, we would rescind the same. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you have testified about verbal exchanges you had with some of the defendants, which they were critical of the process of doing park enforcement in general. Isn't it also true that you had a number of exchanges with them which have been friendly and humorous?
Yes.
So the ones that you're outlining, essentially being asked about, are the ones that have been hostile, but there are many others that haven't been hostile, critical,
There's
correct?
one other that hasn't been hostile.
Pardon?
Just one that hasn't been
So
hostile.
you guys only had one conversation with them that was?
No, one person. There's one person in the group that I can have conversations with.
And who's that?
Garrett.
And what type of conversations did you have with them?
Oh, we've had conversations about religion, videotaping, and, I think some political conversation.
And in your opinion, have those conversations interfered with your doing your work?
Well, I'm still being interfered with, but I'm trying to make the best out of the situation.
You still doing your job?
To the best of my ability to having somebody with me. I still can't focus on my job, even though I'm having a normal conversation with him.
Well, you have plenty of normal conversations with other citizens during the course of the day, don't you?
They come and go, yes. It's not constant.
Now, you testified to a scenario where you said that Mr. Colson grabbed your arm when you were trying to remove a card from the windshield wiper. Did you feel threatened on that occasion?
The initial reaction that he had when he grabbed me, it was, for a minute, it took me off guard, but he didn't hurt me. And he let go immediately when I said, "Don't touch me." To say I felt threatened, initially when it first started I did, but then when I realized he wasn't actually trying to hurt me, it was a reaction for him trying to stop me from reaching for the card. Once I realized exactly what was transpiring, no, I did not feel threatened.
Now, it's your testimony that these defendants make it harder for you to do your job, is that a fair summary?
Yes.
And have you ever asked any assistance from the city of Union in terms of how to address that?
The only conversations that I had was with the police department themselves.
Have you requested any type of training?
No.
Who is your direct supervisor?
Ginger Hill?
What's his or him or her?
Her, Ginger.
And what's her position?
She's the supervisor parking.
Now, there's a number of references in your notes to part of your notes I read, somebody called Sturdy. You know who that is?
Yes, he's a retired police officer.
And what's his name?
Sturdy, that's all I know now, is Sturdy. I'm sorry.
Is that a gentleman named Peter Thomas?
I don't know if that's his name or not. I just knew him as Sturdy, and I knew
He was somebody who was retained by the city of Keene,
correct.
and one of the things he was doing was videotaping,
Yes,
and he was regularly following you and videotaping, is that correct?
correct.
And did you view that videotaping as being harassing or intimidating?
No,
Thank you, Brenda, for the question.
Others representation?
Very briefly, Director. A couple questions about safety. Previously, you testified that you called the police department on 3 occasions. Were those the only times that you felt unsafe?
no, there's been other times, but I just, instead of, I don't feel that I need to call the police at every moment that so I go somewhere. I either go into City Hall where there's the bailiffs are right there, or I get in my car and I leave.
So I understand you're describing measures that you take when you feel unsafe.
Yes.
Are your safety concerns for yourself?
Yes.
And do you have any safety concerns for the public?
There's a lot of times when, especially when people are, there's been a few times when the down street, there was one incident where a man chased Garrett with, well, he pretended it was pepper spray. It turned out that it wasn't pepper spray after all, but it got kind of physical. And when there's this, a lot happening on the street, a number of things could happen. Someone could step out in front of a car, or somebody on the sidewalk get knocked over, and it does get kind of chaotic at times.
Thank you. No more questions.
Further cross-examination?
Yeah, just follow up on that last thing. You testified this has now been going on for a year, correct?
Yeah, 8 months, yeah.
8 months, and during that 8 months, you're saying it's been going on essentially every day?
Correct,
And in your case, that means like 4 days a week, is that right?
yes.
And in that, over that time, which I guess amounts to several hundred days at this point, the only physical contact you've experienced has been the one time that your hand, you said was grabbed, or your arm was grabbed by Mr. Colson, correct?
In that manner, there's been other times when I've been bumped or run into, or I've run into them because they stop quick, but as far as,
The only person's safety has really been compromised here has been defendants, correct? You described how they've been chased, how they've been punched, et cetera, et cetera. Their safety's been compromised, but not yours.
but
Is that true?
if they're being attacked, we could be in the way of that, as well as people that are on the street. They can get run into, or
So your concern is that other people may physically attack the defendants, and in so doing may inadvertently cause damage to you or other bystanders.
yes.
Thank you, I have no further questions.
Thank you, ma'am. You can step down.
So we stand Beth Fox, please.
Just remain standing, raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you give this afternoon is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the pains and penalties of perjury. Thank you. You can be seated and state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Sure. Elizabeth A. Fox, and Fox is F-O-X.
Ms. Fox, how are you employed by the city?
I'm employed as the city's finance director.
And what's your brief background, training experience, your educational background?
I have an undergraduate degree in public management, went to the University of Maine at Orono and graduated some time ago. Wanted to work in local government and have worked in local government 1984.
So 30 years plus, I guess.
Almost, not quite.
Fair enough. And at this point in time, you are the finance director for the city.
Yes, I am.
Have, you've been here through some of the testimony with regard to Alan and Jane, have you not?
Yes.
What I'd like you to do is to identify various areas of financial impact on the municipality as it relates to employment turnover and employment problems in general.
I think, one of the first and most obvious impacts at this point is we've had a parking enforcement officer resign. That's reduced the ability to manage parking by approximately a third. We've got, we had previously about 108 hours worth of, previously we had approximately 108 hours worth of staffing. And now we're down to, I believe, 74 with only 2 parking enforcement officers on the streets. That has had a impact, reducing the number of tickets that are written, which has resulted in a financial impact to the community's parking fund.
And with regard to the loss of employment, Alan resigned
Yes.
in July of 2013. What financial impact does the city experience with regard to replacement costs?
Well, we are going to have to launch a recruitment process that is fairly extensive. Typically, we will incur costs for advertising, which are approximately $200. These particular employees go through both a written test process as well as an interview process. So we have testing and exam costs of approximately $1,000. We'll then have that process in itself takes about a day, the written test. And then typically the interview process, the number of candidates the city likes to see when they fill positions, will take about 2 days. So we would estimate probably other staff time, because we do team interviews, will be involved in that, and probably with a value of somewhere in the area of, $5,000 to $500. We'll need to do background checks on any candidate who is given a conditional offer of employment. That incurs a cost, approximately $125 to test. And then, assuming we are successful in hiring someone, they'll need to be uniformed and trained, and uniforms are approximately $1,000 as well. And training, a couple of weeks with an outside assistant, probably run the city about $1,200 or so.
Those areas or buckets or areas of financial impact have to do with the resignation of Alan, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Now, with regard to the change in the hours that we've heard testimony about from Jane, how does that impact the city financially?
Well, with Jane no longer on this, doing parking management on Saturdays, we've seen a loss in that from revenue in that activity. Typically, about 280 tickets a month would be issued on Saturday. Assuming they were all $5 tickets, that's about $2,800 a month.
Okay. And how about with regard to the administrative costs of trying to cover those hours? How does the city anticipate handling that issue?
Trying to cover the Saturday hours?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, without more staffing, we're gonna have to address the staffing issue and fill those Saturday hours.
And are there going to be administrative costs
There
associated
will be.
with covering that?
We have, put significant administrative effort in both HR and in the supervisory staff to try to help manage the transition for the employees, and that will continue.
Have you been aware of administrative costs with regard to, what I'll call administrative counseling of the 3 PEOs over the course of the last numerous months because of the defendant's conduct?
We have done some counseling, had some counseling provided to those employees in the hopes that it will help them manage their situation more effectively. The cost incurred for that to date has been about $750. We anticipate moving forward that those sorts of supports will continue to be provided.
And are you specifically talking about the type of counseling and support that we heard testimony from Ms. Kimmel the last day of
I-
trial?
I would expect it would be similar to that sort of, but yes.
How about anticipating, you've been here for some of the testimony of Jane. You heard the testimony that she has been looking for other employment on the web. What are your concerns as a financial director for the city's financial impact if you lose Jane as you've lost Alan because of defendant's conduct?
Well, we'll incur, of course, obviously, more costs associated with employee recruitment, but we also are, the parking fund is a special revenue fund. It is designed to be self-supporting, and without the revenue that the activity generates through the parking enforcement personnel, it won't be self-supporting and could become a burden on the community at large and general taxation.
What kind of administrative or financial impact do claims of workers' compensation, disability claims, sick time that may